Reddish, rust-colored water, a telltale sign that bog iron hides below. This natural resource was here in abundance, and was the vital ingredient to the iron industry in New Jersey. Even today, this area holds vast deposits of bog iron in its creeks and marshes. James P. Allaire, an ambitious businessman, iron manufacturer and marine steam engine builder from New York City, took advantage of his era's industrial growth. In 1822, he bought 5,000 acres of land situated on the water of the Manasquan River and named it the Howell Iron Works. With this, he found the perfect place that possessed the natural resources he needed to expand his growing business and supply the iron products to the ever-expanding demand of our growing country. These bountiful resources around the Manasquan River have always shaped the people, community, and industry of this area. The Lenni Lenape, people of the greater Delaware area, used the Manasquan River as they traveled on the streams and relied on the fish, eels, and shellfish supplied by the waters. They lived in loose-knit matrilineal groups and traveled with the seasons. This area may have served as a seasonal hunting or fishing camp for their communities. As time marched forward and Europeans moved into the colonies, the Lenni Lenape populations were subjected to disease, military violence, and forced out of their original land, moving westward into Ohio. Between 1749 and 1792, industry started here with a sawmill owned by Isaac Palmer. He relied on the timber and the power of the water given by the land. This sawmill was passed through the hands of many until finally being replaced in 1837. Although the sawmill is no longer here today, the manager's house, originally built during this period, still stands. By 1793, the Williamsburg Forge had been constructed, just west of where Palmer's sawmill stood. Here is where cast iron products and pig iron were made. This was owned by various people, but eventually the forge was owned solely by William Griffith, who, by 1810, started to assemble land to establish the Monmouth Furnace, merging with Palmer's sawmill and the Williamsburg Forge. James P. Allaire, like the many before him, used the land to develop his industry. As the Howell Iron Works grew into a self-sufficient community, Allaire built numerous living quarters, a chapel with a school, general store, bakery, trade shops, mills, and most importantly, the beating heart of the entire village, a blast furnace. Standing 39 feet high, it was called a blast furnace because a continuous blast of air was injected through pipes into the fire at the base of the furnace to raise the temperature to 3,000 degrees. Everything relied on the blast furnace's production. In order to keep a continuous blast, the charge, a mixture of charcoal, ore, and flux, used to heat the furnace was stored nearby in the charcoal depot. In the bridge house, the charge was weighed and measured to the appropriate amount, and then dumped down the charge door and into the furnace stack. The furnace required constant supervision, so the 12-hour workmen worked non-stop in rotating shifts down at the furnace. They would tap, or release the molten iron, through the iron notch. The molten iron would run and flow into trenches dug into the wet sand floor of the casting house to make pig iron. Once cooled, the pig iron would be loaded up and shipped to the Allaire Works in New York City. Or the molten iron would be poured into molds made and turned into marketable cast iron products. The bell of our chapel that you can hear ring through the village was cast right here down at our furnace. There were numerous workers who would put the finishing touches on the products. From razors to screw factory workers, they all helped in the production process. As the industry grew, these workers made hundreds of useful products, from water pipes to pots, kettles, cauldrons, irons, and stoves. The Howell Works thrived for 24 years. But with the discovery of iron and coal in Pennsylvania, the blast furnace fell silent by 1846. With the death of James P. Allaire, in 1858, the property was passed to his son Hal. Under Hal, our village gained the name, the deserted village of Allaire, and was a spot for tourists and artists to visit. By 1907, the property was passed to the hands of Arthur Brisbane, the famed Hearst newspaper editor, who helped preserve what was left of the village. Here he made a Boy Scout camp called Camp Burton, a model farm, a sporting resort, and the Allaire Inn, breathing new life into the village. After Brisbane's passing in 1936, his wife, Phoebe Brisbane, deeded the village to the state of New Jersey to turn it into the state park we see today. As you walk the trails of the village and see that reddish rust-colored water, think of all the communities and people that walked the same grounds so many years ago. And now you too are forever part of our history. A non-profit 501c3 museum organization, Allaire Village Inc., was formed in 1957 to operate the 40-acre historic district we now call the Historic Village at Alair. With a mission to strive to energize current and future generations in their understanding of history through immersive educational and recreational experiences in a way that makes it accessible to all members of the community we serve. Thank you for supporting us.